Do we truly deserve what we get? Are there people in life that are undeserving of the blessings that they receive? I feel like we as a collective are just terrible at expressing gratitude and appreciation for the things that we get, as if we feel like we're supposed to get the certain things we get. Like, beyond the exceptions of like food, water, and shelter, what all do your parents truly have to provide for you? If even that, because there are definitely people in situations where they're not getting the basic necessities. There are people who both provide and receive, and I feel as if this current generation, my generation, is pretty much on the heavy receiving end. We're receiving the fruits of the labor of a generation past, and I can't really speak about it as if I can say we all can be self sufficient, because that's unrealistic. But it's the lack of gratitude towards those sources of uh, care that we're not giving. Like, they can give us, we don't have a lot to give. That's why we're receiving. But if anything, we should give gratitude. We definitely need more gratitude to those who provide for us. But ultimately, I feel like the people we should be giving the most gratitude to is ourselves. Like, we fail to realize that we were born. Like, there was a point in time where this person, this identity of ours, didn't exist. And we need to realize that since that point on, we've been able to get ourselves through this. Like, every situation you've combated in life, if you feel like you've been through a negative experience, if you feel like you've been through a plethora of positive, you're still made it to this very moment. And we need to show appreciation for ourselves, and that we also like overcome our own issues. Like, in the same way that you would help, or you would show appreciation to someone that helped you through a hard time, you have to show yourself that same appreciation if you get yourself through it. Like, although no man is like a one man show, we still have to, like, I feel like we misaddress ourselves. Like, in the same way that we treat other people as if they're not human, or as if they have no negative qualities to them, we treat ourselves as if we only have negative. Like, we only are the things that we have to work on rather than the things that we want to keep. We don't address the positive parts of ourselves and show appreciation for them. Like, um, I feel like I'm a nice person, but that's not something I actively like pat myself on the back for. And I feel like a lot of what we should be doing today is reaffirming those positive aspects of self in order to kind of help negate those negative ones that we see in our mind. Because it's kind of always going to be a losing battle if you're only addressing negative. Like, if you think you're a holistically negative thing, then of course it's going to be hard to get rid of the negative. It's all you are. But if we take the time and sit down and address everything we like about ourselves, it may be better off, like, we may be better off than before. And that this kind of self appreciation also is linked to like the past, because I feel like a lot of us are held back by things maybe we don't want to carry. Like, we shouldn't be carrying. Like, we fail to realize that what we put behind us is what we'll carry on our backs. And that's not to say you have to wholeheartedly address every issue that comes to you, but the willful ignorance of things that you know will impact your day to day is going to impact your day to day. We have to kind of allow some of that stuff to be gone and kind of beseech that impact that it has on us. And another way you could do this is like affirmation, convincing yourself or telling yourself things that you feel like you need to be told, rather than depending on other people in order to kind of give yourself that stability or security in life. Like how how part of like this modern day healing culture is like taking care of yourself. It's a lot of self-care. Not that people fail to self-care, they think that it's almost, I don't know, they treat it very medicinally rather than routinely. And I feel like there are some things that you should treat medicinally, like meditation. It's not something you should always be doing. Like once a day is perfectly fine, but I think being entrapped within hours and hours trying to I feel like you're reaching for too much. I feel like these kind of mental health and mental care things should not be the things stressing you. So, um, things like how people would take themselves out on dates instead of relying on someone else to give them enjoyment of going out to eat or getting some type of attention. And rather than relying on other people for these kinds of things, we have to have enough gratitude within ourselves to look at ourselves and say, "You did that too," like type. But we like no, but like seriously, we have to kind of look at ourselves and give ourselves that conscious awareness rather than relying on others for it. Because with aspects of like being grateful for what you have, like you're the person who's taking each and every step. You know, you're the person who's looking with your own eyes. You're the person who's speaking. You're the person who's like, even if your parents pushed you to do work, you're the one who did it. And that's not like saying you can't be grateful to those who stimulated you or helped you get to that point. It's just you also have to be appreciative of yourself and the fact that you yourself are monumental to your own journey rather than other people. I feel like there should definitely be a balance, however. Like you can't just solely appreciate yourself. That moves into like a really narcissistic way about going about life, and you'll fail to build connections if you constantly are only like egoist and trapped within your own mind or trapped within your own infatuation with your own identity. That's a lot different than showing your appreciation. That's like saying you're the one who's giving to all and you're not receiving anything because you give it to yourself. That's a lot different than being able to receive help when you need it and also being able to provide yourself with the kind of attention that you feel like or need at the given moment. Being like waking up gratitude, like how people write in journals and will write out things they're grateful for. And I feel like some of that stuff does help. Like it definitely will make you more grateful for things. Like the more you focus on what you're grateful for, the more you'll find to be grateful for. I feel like we take a lot of these things for granted. And the main thing, the main thing is ourselves. We're breathing. The only reason we're existing right now is because of these trials and tribulations we've attributed to ourselves. It's just a lot of it that we don't give thanks. And I think another part of why we fail to express gratitude on a greater scale is because of the kind of normalization of this peaceful time, you know, and it's like things are really a matter of perspective. Like if I've lived through a house fire, then some lighter being lit in front of me is not going to scare me, you know? It's like some things are a lot larger than others, but it's a lot like more tuned into how we perceive it. You know, so one man's struggle can be like another man's day to day. That is to say that a lot of times in life we kind of loom over these monumental like building blocks of our perception. You know, I grew up in a very um, blessed environment, I'd say. I'd never really had to worry about getting anything. So it's very easy to kind of loom over some of those things that are beneficial or monumental to how you formulated your own identity. It's more so like I wouldn't say it's a willful ignorance. It's kind of like a akin to like an unconscious bias towards like your own perception. Like it's more so not being ignorant of it, but being so programmed and taught to kind of view this kind of thing as normal that we fail to be grateful for it. And once we fail to kind of accept these kind of blessings that we receive every day, our futures only look way more bleak because we feel like we're at a place, no matter where we start, where we feel like we're at nothing. We feel like we have nothing to get us to this point, rather than addressing all the building blocks that made it possible to even get to this point. We're not taking things steps at a time like we have in the past to get to this very moment. And when we look to the future, it just seems like there are humongous steps we have to take. And like it's not really present driven. In the same way that we worry about the past, we fail to be grateful for ourselves. That we are the same in the future. Like we fail to assess our own capability to endure, to get through certain problems and be a part of life. We fail to be in the present moment and conscious of how we're making it through the day to day with ourselves.